I'm with my friend Michelle. Michelle has been married to Chris for 25 years, and they have 2 kids together, a boy and a girl, a 22-year-old and a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me ask you some questions
Sure,
today.
it's fun.
So the first thing I want to ask you, we're going to come out of the gate swinging. Tell me about an aha moment that you had in your parenting. What changed the way you mother your kids?
I'm not sure that it changed the way that I mothered my kids, but it made it a lot easier to mother my kids.
Okay, that's fair.
And so when I had the realization that it didn't have to all be, roses and sunshine, that it was okay for me to not enjoy it the entire time, it gave me so much freedom to actually feel my emotions.
That weight comes off at that point.
Exactly. And so then I was able to say, you know what, I don't like this child right now, but that doesn't mean that they're a bad child or that I'm a bad mom. It just means that right now it's unpleasant.
So how do you mother through those moments that you don't like them very much or that you're not enjoying very much?
Ooh, good question. I think that having the realization, it's so much easier with the second or third or fourth, right?
Sure.
But with the first, I had to always just remember that they may not be ready for what I'm wanting to teach them. Okay. And then I needed to be patient to wait for when they were ready to hear it. And if I kept saying it, that eventually they would be ready to hear what I was trying to teach them.
Oh.
So it was the same concept of, having a master's in literacy. I had a son who I knew was highly intelligent, but did not read. He could beat adults in chess at the age of 5, but he could not read. And I felt like such a failure. I'm this educator, I'm a teacher, I can do this, I should have this down pat, right? I should help my kid. And I did everything I possibly could. And then one day in 3rd grade, literally 3rd grade, he came home a reader. And he's an avid reader ever since.
Oh my goodness.
But it didn't matter what I did, he wasn't ready. And so the minute that he was ready, it was just like a switch turned on and he was ready. And so
wow.
That's one of the best lessons, is that people aren't ready for what you're telling them sometimes when you're telling it to them.
Yeah. What is that old adage that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear?
Yes.
That that's so hard as a mom.
Or the teacher's always
so ready,
and the teacher's always there, right?
Yeah.
Like the mom is always there,
right?
But they're not always ready to hear it.
Sure. Oh man, that's so hard. Okay, so you now have 2 adult children.
Yes.
You recently just had your youngest leave the nest.
Yep. Empty nesters.
So as you look back, you've kind of been through most of the parenting phases at this point. So baby, toddler, early elementary, teenager, and now adult children. Walk me through some of the things you loved about different phases, some of the hard things, some of the things you learned.
When they were little, I was a neurotic mom.
Okay.
So I worried about everything. I thought they were always going to die. I thought that for sure that they were going to die on my watch and not Chris's.
Okay.
And so I remember Chris being a sergeant for the Whitman County Sheriff's Department. At that time, he was a deputy. And Roy ran into the wall, into the corner. And he was like, not even 2. And it just went, a big, huge blue nastiness going on.
Okay.
And I was, oh my gosh, this child's gonna die. So I call him, and of course back then they had bag phones. He hadn't turned on the bag phone yet, so I had to actually call dispatch, which I always said I never would.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, and you can hear him screaming in the background, and me like, I just need Chris to call me, and I just really need him to come home.
Oh my gosh.
So he came home, and by then Roy was fine.
Yeah.
But I was neurotic, so I didn't care for that era. Only not because of them. They were fun. I was neurotic.
Okay.
I think I had the most fun in their middle years. So Abilene would have been later elementary school, and then Roy would have been either 6th or 7th grade.
Okay.
And that was a lot of fun for me because I was able to go part-time and spend the time. I was that mom that had them, picked them up and gave them their snacks, and I felt like I was like being a good mom.
Yeah.
And so that was probably my favorite, other than what I'm experiencing now.
Really?
Now with them out of the house, all of a sudden they think I'm brilliant, and they.
You've been waiting for this.
I know. I'm like, finally, and it took them a little bit, but they were able to realized that they could text me or tell me anything, and that I would just support them and guide them if they wanted it, but that I didn't, push them. I just, if they wanted it, advice, I gave it. And so I think that now I'm getting more and more of it. So I'm really enjoying adulthood.
That's so fun.
I love adulthood.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I love
And
that.
early adulthood too, right?
Yeah.
Because they are trying to figure everything out.
Such a discovery period.
And then they're looking to me going, oh, wow, okay. Or another epiphanal moment for me was when my son was writing his college essays. And he goes, God, Mom, why couldn't you guys beat me or neglect me or do something bad because I have nothing to write about? And I thought,
a broken home moment.
and I was just like, thanks, honey. It was like the nicest thing he could have said to me, right?
Yeah.
But it was a pure moment of frustration for him because he could not figure anything to write about for his college essay.
That's so funny. That's such a teenager thing to say.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. So my husband is the one that nominated you. You guys have worked together fairly closely over the years. Not now, obviously, different jobs. But one of the things that he has mentioned about you that he thinks is hilarious is that you have these nicknames for members of your family. So tell me how you have not taken yourself too seriously. How have you made family life fun for your family?
Oh my gosh. It's a party. It's always a party. Growing up, my parents never fought. Ever.
Wow.
I never saw it. I never saw even my mom mad. I never saw it, ever.
Okay.
And so when I started dating, I thought that the minute I had a fight with someone, you have to break up, right? It's over.
Yeah.
And so when I met Chris, he kind of was like, okay, you realize we can be really mad at each other and still like each other. And I was like,
Good job, Chris. Good
all
job.
right. And so we just kind of always showed, we didn't do a lot of fighting, but I'm just mad at your dad right now and I'm not done being mad yet, or not making anything scary or off limits.
Yeah.
And so being our honest selves, I would put myself in timeout. I'm really mad and I have no reason to be mad whatsoever, so I'm going to go take a timeout and I'll be back. And they were like, okay. And then as they got older, my daughter would say, Mom, it looks like maybe you need a timeout. And so just being really open and honest about it is what it is. It's not right or wrong. It just is what it is in the moment.
Yeah.
And but we're all playful family, so lots of energy, always a lot of animals.
Yeah. They're all kind of, you can't see it on camera, but they're all running all over.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. But yeah, so it's just, we were pretty honest. We were pretty vulnerable. Like we allowed them to see the sides of us that even we didn't want to see. And that it was okay, that it was a natural thing and it's part of the journey that you figure this out. And so I think that was good.
Yeah, that's so valuable to say, I'm feeling my feelings. And that's,
or making
okay.
a funny, or making something okay that was very difficult. One thing about Chris's job is he was always late. Always late, always. And he would call us and say, I'm on my way. And then we would start at the dinner table, we'd start to make bets. When do you think he's going to get home? Do you think it's going to be 15 minutes from now? Do you think it's going to be an hour or 3 hours or tomorrow? And so we'd all take bets, and then every night we'd figure out who won.
Oh my God.
Because it could have been that point of contention that I'm making dinner, we're all sitting down to dinner, and he's not
You
here.
should be here, yeah.
But he doesn't have any control over that. So I had to find a way to make it fun for us instead of that feeling of angst.
Okay. Have you always been a working mom, and why was that your decision? Why did you decide to work?
Well, when we started having kids, I was a teacher, so I was working full-time and getting my master's.
Okay.
Because that was the only way I could move up in pay.
Okay.
And so, and then I was having babies at the same time. I don't know how I did that.
Yeah.
Today, I'm like, I was crazy.
That's horrifying.
And my husband worked nights, right? So I don't know how I did it.
Okay.
But like my mom says, you just do what you do, and you don't even think about it because it's what you do for the family.
That's what's in front of you. Yeah.
And so at that point in time, I loved teaching. And so it was the perfect kind of profession because I could get off early enough before Chris went on duty so that the kids were really almost never in daycare. They were either with their dad or they were with me.
Okay.
And so very rarely did we have daycare. So that worked really well for us at that point. Then when his career started to really there was some major cases that occurred that it really took him away, I kind of had gotten to the point where it's time for a change. When the deal breaker for me was when my kids would come home from school and I was too tired from helping my students to help them. I had nothing left.
Okay.
I was like, that's a deal breaker. And so I quit teaching and I was off for 4 months. And then I picked up like a part-time job. And so that way I could get them to school and be home and ready to pick them up for after school.
Cool.
And so then I did that during my son's middle school years. And then once I felt like the kids were stable again, I went to full-time. And then I've been full-time ever since.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you always known that you working was what was best for your family, or have you
I
had
probably
to
would
wrestle
have killed
through
him
that?
if I wasn't working.
Okay.
Because there's just, for me, I couldn't have my whole world centered there.
Okay.
There was like playing, I don't play. Like I'm not like my husband will sit down and play with those Barbies with my daughter and play under in forts and do all these things. I don't know how to play.
Okay.
I like to do for them. I like to cook. I like to clean the house. I like to decorate. I like to, make sure that they have everything that they need, and that's how I love.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas my husband he does that too, but he played.
Yeah.
That was they were very active together.
Okay.
Whereas
So you both were able to lean into your strengths
mhm.
and kind of balance that and give that to
Yeah.
your home. That's cool.
I was not very good at playing. And nighttime routine, I hated it.
Oh,
It was
that's
the
not
joke.
Everyone.
It was,
I think everyone
no, my
hates
husband
nighttime.
loved it.
Really?
He would come home and they would
Chris might be a
play
saint.
and they would do all these things and then he'd get them riled up and I'm like, I'm not touching
No.
them. And it was a
No.
joke because my kids knew when I was home and I said, it's time for bed. That meant that don't bug me again because I might kill you.
Right. It's my time. I've been with you all day. This is my time.
Usually I was in bed before them, so.
Okay. You were a teacher. Tell me what ages you taught.
I taught at the middle school for 10 years and at the high school for 5.
Okay. So with your interactions with students and with their parents, how did those interactions inform the way that you would parent your kids?
We did not rescue our children.
Okay.
We made them suffer through some hard, even though there were times when I wanted to rip heads off. And my son in his high school years decided not to tell me a couple things that happened because he knew that would have set Mama Bear off.
Yeah.
And but for the most part, we just let them suffer through the difficult times because I was not going to be that rescued parent or tell a teacher how to teach or any of that. So that really did help us. But that's how our parents were.
Okay.
Our parents did not coddle us, did not, rescue us.
Right.
So we just carried that through.
That's cool.
And now they're really independent.
So what did parent-teacher conferences look like for you then? If you were not there to rescue,
Yeah.
what would you have loved parents have done when you were a teacher, and what did you do when you were in that seat?
What I wanted from parent-teacher conferences was I wanted to A, know how they were doing, and B, where were the holes that we could fill at home.
Mm-hmm.
So where were the areas that he needed some extra support, or she?
Yeah.
And usually we have pretty type A kids, so there wasn't always a lot. So for me, it was more making sure that they were learning a balance of fun and work.
Cool.
Because we have
They're
Both of
pretty
them are
naturally
really
driven.
hard workers.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I did as a teacher was exactly the same thing. I just would say, this is where they're excelling. This is a couple things that they may want, if this is the love of their life, this is what I would push them to do.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
answering my questions.
This is fun.
Are you ready for a speed round?
Okay, speed round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michelle, what's your favorite sound?
A cat's purr or the squeak of a saddle.
Oh, that's a great answer. I love that
Yeah, nothing relaxes me more than the squeak of a saddle or the purr of a cat.
one. Oh man, what's your least favorite sound?
My son wheezing because he had severe asthma.
Oh yeah.
And
that's
so
a
at
horrible
night I'd
noise.
have to listen for it. So that would be a terrible sound.
That's awful. What's your favorite word?
Strength
I like that.
and journey, I would say I have kind of two, but strength and then journey.
Okay, I like that. What do you know?
I know I'm not perfect.
I've heard that one before.
Yeah,
What do you want to learn?
patience.
Okay. Michelle, what scares you?
Loss.
Okay.
Loss of not things, loss of people
Yeah.
or feelings.
Lots of feelings. Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really neat idea. Tell me about a mom you admire.
My mom, strongest person I've ever met in my entire life.
Cool.
I still continually learn from her.
What a legacy. That's a great mom. Michelle, what are you good at?
The people who I love know I love them, and they know I love them no matter what.
Cool. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank
You did a great job.
Okay, thanks.